Howdy, everyone. My name is Nicholas, and welcome to the Headliner Pod. For those of you not in the know, we're a show about podcasts featuring podcasts by podcasters that's hosted by people who help podcasters with their podcasting. On every episode of the show, a few of the folks over at Headliner sit down to play a game that centers around listening to a randomly selected clip from over 500 show submissions that we've gotten from podcasters so that we can find what we call Pod Zero. Here are the rules. Each lucky contestant will hear a 60-second podcast clip. Then they'll need to pick the correct podcast title from a lineup with 3 choices. Before we get the show on the road, though, let's say hi to each of our contestants today because the lineup's a little different. Starting with the just back from wherever he's been for a few weeks now, Dash.
Hello, everyone. I have been out. I don't know where I've been, but it wasn't fun, wherever it was.
Gotcha. Also back this week, we have Kristy.
Yeah, the portal opened and both of us just spilled out. We're really happy that we got back here in one piece.
Yeah. We also have Oliver joining as a contestant this week and not the producer.
I'm so excited to be here. Woohoo.
We've got Jesse.
How are you?
No woohoo this week. I'm a little disappointed. And we've got Max.
Howdy, headliners.
Good intro. My favorite word got used. Howdy. And as our producer this week, we have Alyssa.
Hi, everybody. Very excited for this week, personally.
And I know, Alyssa, you have a bit of a product update for us before we jump into things, don't you?
Oh, yes, I do. Okay, so have you heard about Podcast Promo Pack? In Eddy, all projects have free access to the Podcast Promo Pack, which includes 4 generative episode art options featuring your brand colors, over 10 keywords, 3 show note options with chapters, and now social media captions, and so much more. Eddy not only makes podcasts more accessible, it also expedites the upload process and helps optimize podcasts for SEO, YouTube, and social media. To download your free promo pack or just try Eddy and get a free transcription, visit eddy.headliner.app.
All right. Awesome. Cool stuff all around. Promo pack is super fun to use. Like, it actually is fun. I actually feel dopamine explode out of my brain when I click on it. So with all of that out of the way and my brain all dopamined up, let's just dive into the show with our first clip. Seeing as Dash is back with us for a first episode in a while, it's only fitting that we start with him.
All right. Nothing bad can happen here.
Yeah, exactly. So let's fire up a screen share. And Dash, you just need to cover your eyes while we get the clip rolling.
Yeah, that's the right expression. It's about being really, really direct. I do marketing. I'm a marketing consultant. I help people with marketing, as opposed to going off in lots of detail about me and my career or my background or any of those things. Yeah,
definitely. And then the fourth area is the SEO. Which is basically your Google business profile. So the Google business profile is absolutely free to do. Basically puts a pin on the map if you've got like an actual building of where you work. If you don't have a building, say you work from home on your service space, you can still have a Google business profile, but you won't get the pin. But if somebody's searching for what you do in that area, then you should still show up. And there are ways to optimize your Google business profile as well, such as making sure that you've got lots of reviews on there.
Okay.
All right.
So there was our clip and
Dash here across the pond, huh?
Yeah. I mean, you were talking about like accents and echolocation. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah. Manifested in the UK, probably London.
Yeah. That's what I'm hearing.
That's what I'm hearing.
So here are your 3 choices for today, Dash. The first one is The Cool Department, a Monkey Pants production podcast. Number 2 is Marketing for Introverts. And number 3 is ROI, a brand story.
I'm going with 2, Marketing for Introverts.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I kind of like the ROI one.
For it. I mean, I heard marketing consulting. I mean, that's the keywords I'm picking up on. And, the introvert thing, I didn't key in on anything, but who knows?
Okay.
That just seems, final answer. B, marketing for introverts.
Alrighty. Marketing for Introverts is correct.
I knew it.
You nailed it.
So I was on it.
There you go. I didn't pick up on the introvert stuff either, but
Yeah, nothing introverts. But I mean, it was the only one really. They mentioned marketing, I think, a couple times at least, and the subject matter was around, consulting, all sorts of stuff and profile views. So, you try to throw me a wrench with the accent, but you couldn't fool me. It's also UK.
Duly noted. I'm thoroughly put in my place. So
nice try.
Let's learn a little bit about this show, their podcast description. Marketing for Introverts is the podcast that explores ways introverts can successfully promote themselves and their businesses in a world where everyone else is shouting. Do you have that daily challenge between not wanting to put yourself out there, but also needing to promote your business in order to make sales? Marketing advice for business owners centers on personal visibility, making an impact, raising your profile. How does that fit if you're reserved and quiet and you prefer to listen and reflect? If you're an introvert business owner looking for ideas and support in a noisy world, you found it. So there you go. Kind of an interesting idea for a podcast because, marketing a business and being introverted feels like it wouldn't be compatible, but it's definitely out there. So
absolutely.
Very cool.
By Ginny Proctor. Thanks, Ginny.
Yeah, there you go. Also very good, clean podcast art on the part of the show.
Can appreciate that.
For sure. So moving on, let's jump over to Kristy, who was also out last week.
Let's go.
And we'll play our next clip for him.
Almost every brewery and distillery has at least one cat for the exact same reasons that people in Mesopotamia and brewers in Mesopotamia and brewers in medieval England had cats too, to keep control of the rodent population in these spaces that are storing a lot of grain. We can look at the history of cats as being very tied into grain production. Because of that, at the same time, we're starting to produce beer as well, and beer would lead to distillates. So they're also very much tied to the history of alcohol.
Yet another wonderful thing about kitties. For our final guest speaker in this episode, I'm grateful to have had the chance to meet the boss of 2 distillery cats who told me what it was like to be, a cat boss, I guess. I don't know. Colin, take it away.
And we never heard from Colin. Okay, so there's our clip for this episode. Obviously, it is about cats, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah. Let's go. I'm excited. As a cat dad to 2 cats, I'm very excited.
As someone extremely allergic to cats, I'm a little less excited. But let's fire those titles off so that you could pick which one it is. Number 1 is 6 Degrees of Cats. Number 2, Pass the Catnip. And number 3, Soft Kitty, Warm Kitty.
I think 6 Degrees of Cats is you see, whenever I pick something, it's always like the thing that's like on the nose for what they were talking about. So they were like talking about reasons why people had cats, for something to do with killing rats and birds that were eating a bunch of wheat back in England. So like 6 Degrees of Cats is like very, very good. Like, I get that. I think I'm going to pick that one.
Okay.
I've been wrong like 4 times in a row, though. Like, let's see if I come back, had a break, and I win. So let's do that.
Okay. 6 Degrees of Cats is correct. It is actually the title of this podcast. There you go. Welcome back, Kristy. I was hoping you would say like something about 6 Degrees with Kevin Bacon and you would dissuade yourself from doing it. But and I realized that's how I would talk myself out of it.
Yeah, that's how you would have done that.
Yeah. So congrats. You got that right.
Yeah.
Can we get the third title just one more time, please?
Sure. Soft Kitty, Warm Kitty.
Yeah, no. I got to sample that in a song or something.
I'd have to pick that one just on name alone.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I kind of just like, my brain was like, listen, you're going to forget that. We can't handle that right now, specifically in that voice. I'm going to need that like sampled and put in some like dubstep song right before it explodes.
Yeah, right before the bass drops. Okay. Yeah, you have my permission. I'm signing whatever needs to be signed for that.
All right, cool. IP approved.
Yeah. Okay, so here we are with the show description for 6 Degrees of Cats. Why were cats in ancient Egypt, but Satan's familiar by Europe's Middle Ages? Why do serial killers and despots hate cats? And how the heck does all this random cat stuff connect to us in the here and now? Cat worshiper Captain Kitty, aka Amanda B, investigates these and other hard-hitting questions with a diverse set of guest experts from across the globe. So there we go. 6 Degrees of Cats. Pretty good title. It says everything about it. And yeah, I actually really like the title and I like the artwork for it too.
Yeah, great art. Yeah, Kristy, since you got it right, bonus question. If you were a cat, would you rather be a distillery cat or a bodega cat?
Bodega cat in New York. Like, I just want to hear, like, as a person that like dreams about being in New York, I've got distilleries in Nashville. They're boring. Like, nothing happens in them. Bodegas, stuff happens in there all the time. So yes, bodega cat officially.
So you think all the distillery cats in Nashville are applying for jobs at bodegas in New York right now?
They're looking for bus tickets. It's like a bus ticket issue. It's like they're constantly filled up with cats trying to get to New York.
Okay.
Living the dream.
There you go. Noted. I wish I had a good pun for that, but the only pun I can think of is fish related.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Where does a fish apply for a job? Linked fin. Okay, so moving on. Oliver, you are
There's
next
up. There's a lot of cats on LinkedIn too. Catfishing.
Yeah, they're catfishing on LinkedIn. So, Oliver, you're up. We have a clip picked out for you. So you know the rules.
I think there's a cat at this Airbnb. I'm so allergic. Not a serial killer, but also don't like cats.
Yep. It's those cat allergies. It's the struggle.
I got to close them.
It's not easy. It's like anything in life. The beginning is always the hardest. It's when you look back that you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I was able to make it this far. And this is true for life, that all of the difficult things begin dark because you don't necessarily know where they're going. But if you keep your hopes and your dreams and your faith and you're confident in yourself and you never give up, you can create the light in your life. I know it because I'm trying to do it. That's what I'm trying to do. And I know that I'm not the only one trying to do this out here. A couple of things I found on the internet about the never-ending story. The never-ending story is about human nature and how important it is for someone to find their true self. They must find friends, make connections, root through their history, and accept who they are.
Okay, there we have it. So, right off the bat, I totally thought they were talking about the movie, The Never-Ending Story, for maybe half a second, but that's just me. And let's fire off these titles so that you could pick from one, Oliver. Number 1, Questioning Minds. Number 2, Inquiring Minds. And number 3, Inquisitive Minds.
Oh, give him the hard one, man. This is like punishment.
That's the easier one, Kristy. We actually, I told Alyssa that we could make it harder earlier.
This is
the
impossible.
last one was Inquisitive Minds.
Yes, Inquisitive Minds.
Scratch that one. What were the other two?
Inquiring Minds and Questioning Minds.
So I don't believe that it wasn't about the movie The Never-Ending Story.
Okay, maybe.
And because of that, I'm going with 2, Inquiring Minds.
Inquiring Minds is correct, Oliver. I think we're on a roll so far. So you were completely correct. God. Very good guess. Yeah, I would have completely botched that one personally.
I would have flipped a coin 3 times.
Well, I have a bet. I know Alyssa's thought process when she's picking apart mine, so I kind of had an idea. That's all.
Wow.
It's not fair.
Okay. So really quick for my sake, Oliver, would you have still picked Inquiring Minds if I had changed the first choice to Inquiring Minds?
Are you saying 2 different words?
One starts with EN and one starts with IN.
No. Those are the same word.
No, they're different words with different definitions. I'm sorry, Kristy.
I would not have chosen Inquiring Minds.
Gotcha. I see why Kristy thought I said the same word twice now.
Yeah, because which word did he say?
Yeah. exactly. He said inquiring, not enquiring. I don't know.
And
Wait, which one was it really? It was Ian, right?
It was En, enquiring minds, but they're pronounced
Excellent
almost
pronunciation.
identically. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's learn a little bit about this show now and read its description. I'm not judging. I'm just curious. Inquiring Minds is a podcast about things that perplex me on a regular basis. Tuesday episodes will be about nothing, sort of like Seinfeld, except some laughs, some tears from laughing, and some shade. Friday's F's to Give episodes of Inquiring Minds will cover topics like mindfulness, self-care, and boundaries. Expect some tears from crying when I get deep. This podcast is brought to you by Rican's Life Productions. That's right, I'm Puerto Rican. So there you go. I guess Inquiring Minds makes a lot more sense than inquiring when you find out what the show is about. I also think it's cool that they have multiple segments on the show. F's to Give that's a podcast name in itself. So I don't know. Anyway, let's move on to our fourth clip with Max.
Let's do this.
That's the spirit.
Primarily, I make the sign of the cross over my body. I believe that secures the line. You know, I'm talking to you, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and the body of Christ, and to no one else. Then I say, thank you for giving me a consciousness at all. Thank you for the events of the day. Winding down now and preparing to go unconscious. So would you hold on to my consciousness until the morning? And if there's anything that you can do with it in the meanwhile, please feel free.
And so one night about 23 years ago, something different happened than any time before you said that prayer. So you want to tell us about that night?
Yeah, I was on a retreat. I live in Arizona, and I did at that time also. In the north of the state, it's mountainous, and there's a lot of camps. When we would go on retreat with any kind of groups, it usually meant driving to the north, to the piney part of the state. I was on a retreat with a bunch of other people, friends of mine. I was part of giving the retreat.
Okay.
Wow, that was deep.
Oh, man, I want to know if it was going to go to aliens or not.
I did not think that was going to aliens.
I didn't think so either. But
something happened to this guy right before he went to bed. Yeah, no, man. I was just feeling it.
I think it's definitely going to aliens, Kristy. I agree with you.
You see,
that's going to aliens.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right. Well, let's see what Max comes up with from these three titles. Here are your options. The first one is Afraid of Nothing Podcast. Number 2, Afraid of Everything Podcast. And number 3, The Spooky and the Spectacular.
Oh, you got a little harder from last week, I guess. It was getting a little too easy for me on easy mode. Yeah. Now I'm at like easy mode and a half. Can you say them again? I forgot the
sure.
one.
Afraid of Nothing Podcast, Afraid of Everything Podcast, and The Spooky and the Spectacular.
Maybe it was going to aliens now with these title options. I thought it was like a religious podcast, and now I'm really not sure.
That's what I was getting to, by the way.
I'm sufficiently confused because like one is a direct response to the other. So I'm like, okay, feels like it's one of those two, or it's the oddball, the third one. But yeah, I'm just going to go with the third one because now Kristy's convinced me it's about aliens. I don't know if he just totally threw me off track. Maybe it's a new element to the game where you get kind of thrown off track by the other participants. We can now like interfere with each other. But yeah, let's go with the spooky one.
Okay, so The Spooky and the Spectacular is incorrect. It is actually Afraid of Nothing Podcast. Sorry about that.
I could not decide if they were afraid of nothing or afraid of everything. Like I felt like both could have been true. And just to not have to make a guess, I just went with the third.
Okay. Well, it's an interesting thought process there. Like I definitely see where you're coming from.
What? This cover art's crazy.
Yeah, this is awesome. It looks like a Magic the Gathering card.
This is the
I was going to say it looks like a Megadeth album.
Yeah. Wait, I thought it was like a religious podcast. This is what I just listened to?
Yeah.
That is nuts. Wow.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, what are they talking about on this one?
Got my attention.
Well, let's find out about this show real quick. Afraid of Nothing, based on the award-winning experimental documentary, explores life in the afterlife through the lens of shamans, mediums, ghost hunters, authors, EVP, which stands for electronic voice phenomenon experts, scientists, researchers, wizards, and other awakened individuals. Hosted by Bob Hesk. So there you go. Pretty cool. I think we were all caught a bit off guard by that artwork. And I didn't realize it was actually tied to a documentary, which is super neat.
Yeah, super cool. I was convinced it was like a spirituality podcast about getting closer to God or something with that segment. So, which I guess I don't know, like, was it like just such an oddball segment that got picked? Or is that a good segue into, because it is kind of connected, I guess. It's like a different perspective on the afterlife. But I don't know. Sounds cool. Cool.
Yes, it kind of is like, it's a clip that if I ran into it on social media, I think I would have had enough context from the art to know better. But in isolation, I know what you mean. Like it was kind of out there. So yeah, moving on to our last contestant who hasn't gone today. Jesse, you're up at bat. You know how this works.
And so that's kind of my take on it, is figuring out, when I'm with people, meeting them where they are, allowing them to come out of their shell when they're ready, but not shoving them off the cliff either. Like I said, some clients, it takes a little bit longer, and, they'll say, like 3, sessions in, which could be, 3 quarters down the line or 3 years down the line, depending on how often they do it. They're like, oh, I finally get it. I'm finally loving myself. But my biggest thing is, how can we mimic that in life? How can we step into the confidence? How can, even when I started, random thought, but started putting purple in my hair, I was like, who's going to think of what of me? Are they going to think I'm less professional? Are they going to think I'm younger? Am I whatever? And I already get that being short. People are like, oh, you're like 20 years old. I'm like, nope, totally not. But, and so I was this big thought of what everybody else is going to think and worry and all this stuff.
All right. So, Jesse, here are your 3 options. Number 1, Your Journey to Joy. Number 2, Juggling, a podcast about life. And number 3, Finding Your Inner Peace.
All right. So I don't think it's juggling. I'm liking 1 and 3. I do have a good habit of knocking out the first one.
Okay.
And that being right. So I think I'm just gonna let the odds lie. I'm going to go with number 3.
Finding Your Inner Peace.
Finding Your Inner Peace.
Okay. So number 3 is unfortunately incorrect. It was Your Journey to Joy. Although I can see why you picked it. It does sound like it could have been the answer. I mean, I would have stood up for Juggling personally. I think a podcast about life did it for me at the end there. But that's me. I like my weirdly poetic and slant titles. Anyway, let's learn a bit about this podcast. This is Your Journey to Joy podcast, where you'll hear inspiring stories from those who overcome all kinds of life's challenges. Tips on how to stay healthy during stress of life and simple ways of finding joy in your own life. So there you go. Short, sweet, and to the point. Now, we do actually have 1 clip left, so I'm going to leave it up to everyone to decide how we handle it. We could just play it and throw everyone at it at once and have someone vote. Or if one of you who got it wrong want to go again and try to redeem yourselves, that's an option too. Actually think, Max, you might be the only one who got it wrong today, right?
No, I did too.
Yeah, you just did literally right now. Okay.
Literally.
Do you want to go at it as a team and try and redeem yourselves or something?
Sure. Yeah. Or I like the idea of everybody doing it too.
Let's just play the clip and figure out how we handle it next, I guess. So
everybody close your eyes.
Yeah, everyone cover your eyes.
Sometimes it seems that the smaller the bird, the bigger the voice. Some of the noisiest species in the Americas are the wrens. Their loud chants and trills all out of proportion, the slightness of those slender bodies. The ruby-crowned kinglet, too, that bright-headed sprite of the treetops, would be downright deafening if it were just a little bigger. Hummingbirds, of course, were originally named for the mechanical buzzing produced by their inconceivably fast wing beats.
Okay, that is the end of the clip now. I will not be tricked. Really quick, let's fire off the 3 names for these shows. Number 1, Bird Note. Number 2, the Puteki Teki, the one true bird of the century. Number 3, Ca-Caw, y'all.
I'm losing it.
I just want it. I want it to be Ca-Caw, y'all.
Ca-Caw, y'all.
And it could very well be. I think it's either the first one or the last one, bird note or Ca-Caw, y'all.
Really? Nobody here cares about the Puteki or whatever it's called?
Look,
Puteki.
Well, they weren't talking about the
Puteki.
You wanted to be number 2.
They were just comparing how all other birds are not as cool as a Puteki. Each episode is like, here's why a hummingbird's not as cool as a Puteki.
Yeah, they were talking about wrens and ruby-throated hummingbirds or something.
Okay. Well, we still need to pick a choice, but unfortunately, it looks like everyone has just decided against the best name ever.
Puteki.
Yeah, I didn't know what that was until an hour ago, but I'm obsessed with saying it now.
Can we add it into our podcast title? Like the Headliner Pod / Puteki Appreciation Hour?
Yeah. The Puteki Techie Pod or whatever.
I mean, if
Anyway.
Puteki wants to sponsor us, I'm sure it could be arranged. Number 1. It's got to be number 1.
Bird
It's
note.
gonna be number 1.
Everyone's saying number 1,
y'all.
except Dash, who has seemingly seceded from the team and is voting for the third one by himself.
I'm going Ca-Caw, y'all.
I'll
And
go
I'm
with
gonna keep
Dash.
saying
Me and
that.
Dash are splitting. Let's divvy it up. We'll go against each other.
That's how I'm signing off from now on. Ca-Caw, y'all.
All right, since me and Dash against the world.
Yeah, you and Dash are unfortunately incorrect. It was actually bird note. So sorry. You guys literally jumped off of the Titanic when it turned out that it was fine. It only grazed the glacier.
I'm fine going down with that ship. Ca-Caw, y'all.
Okay. Noted. The ship didn't go down in this scenario, but yes, understood.
We didn't come to win. We came for the friends and the sign-offs we found along the way. The sayings.
You got a good sign off out of it, so that counts for something. Let's learn a little bit about this show, though. Bird Note Daily is a 2-minute radio show that combines rich sounds with engaging stories to illustrate the amazing lives of birds and give listeners a momentary respite from the news of the day. So, there you go. Actually, a really interesting idea for a podcast. And with that basically implies that we listened to about half of an episode today. So, really cool. Yeah. As for the show itself, I really like the artwork. I'm assuming that is just episode art that we're looking at and not like the actual podcast art. Maybe it's talking about the specific bird.
It looks like the ruby crowned or something they mentioned.
I think it's the Puteki Techie.
Yes. Oh, I'm hoping it's the Puteki Techie.
It's actually a hummingbird. The Puteki Techie is much different looking, to say
That's
the least.
unfortunate.
This would be a big flex as the podcast cover. They're just like, we don't need text. You know what it is. You see the bird.
Yeah. It's sort of like Abbey Road in that regard. It doesn't need to label itself. You know what it is.
If you know, you know. It's like an insider type of podcast.
Exactly. So very cool. I'm not into birding even remotely, but it is something that I've been interested in getting more into in terms of like the photography side. So probably going to keep that in my back pocket at 2 minutes an episode. So there you have it. We've played the game for the day, and it looks like we were about 50-50 in terms of right and wrong answers, right? Max, you got 2, you missed 2 today. Dash missed 1, and then Jesse missed 1. Yeah, it's about half, just shy of it. So not bad. That might actually still be our best ratio to date in terms of getting them right. And we'll see if we can do better next time. So yeah, thanks for listening to. Yeah, you're going to make a comeback.
Then listen to that hard rock song, Eye of the Tiger, and train all week. And I'll get you next week.
There you go. We'll see about that, Max. Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. And yeah, bye.
Bye.